Oh no, did my brownies give you AIDS? This happened back in the 90s when my husband and I were completely broke. We're talking sleeping in our car kind of broke. We finally scraped together enough money to rent this tiny room in someone's old servants' quarters attached to this rundown Victorian house. The neighborhood was sketchy and our landlord was insane, but it had walls and a roof, so we took it. We had to share the kitchen with our roommate Kevin. And Kevin was one of those guys who just had zero common sense about anything. Like the kind of person who would microwave metal and then act surprised when sparks flew everywhere. I love to cook. It's like my favorite thing. So even though we were broke, I was always making stuff from scratch. One week I made this huge pan of brownies. They came out perfect. Thick and fudgy and amazing. A few days went by and the brownies were starting to get a little stale. Nothing terrible, but you know how brownies get when they've been sitting out. My husband decided he wanted to cut himself a piece. He grabs this massive kitchen knife to cut through them. Here's where it gets bad. The brownies were in a glass Pyrex dish and the knife slipped on the glass. It went straight into the pad of his thumb. Deep, like really deep. Blood started pouring everywhere. All over the brownies, all over the counter, all over his hand. He's standing there going, oh God, and I'm trying not to freak out. I grabbed a kitchen towel and wrapped it around his thumb tight to stop the bleeding. The brownies were completely covered in blood at this point, like a crime scene. I just picked up the whole pan and dumped everything into the sink. We didn't even think about it. We just ran out the door to the emergency room. He ended up needing like 6 stitches in his thumb. The whole thing took forever because the ER was packed. When we finally got home a few hours later, I walked into the kitchen and noticed something weird. Half the brownies were gone from the sink. The bloody water-soaked blood-covered brownies. Half of them were just gone. Our door was open, but Kevin's door was closed. I could hear him in there. That's when it hit me. He ate the bloody brownies. He ate them from the sink, where they'd been sitting in bloody water for hours. I felt sick, but I didn't say anything. I figured that was punishment enough, having to live with the knowledge that you ate blood brownies. Until 2 weeks later, I had been saving money from 3 different paychecks to buy myself a nice non-stick pan. Not anything fancy, but nice for us at the time. It was like $30, which was a lot when you're broke. I was so excited to use it. I go to the cabinet to get it, and the packaging is ripped open. The pan is sitting there, all scratched up. Deep fork marks all over the non-stick coating. He had used my brand new pan and destroyed it before I even got to cook with it once. I was furious. My husband told me to let it go, but I couldn't, so I waited. About a week later, Kevin comes home from work, and I'm standing right in the doorway between the kitchen and living room, the only way through. He tries to walk past me, but I don't move. I go, hey, Kevin, remember those brownies that were in the sink a few weeks ago? His face lights up and he goes, yeah, they were pretty good. I figured since they were in the sink already, you weren't going to eat them, so I helped myself. I just stared at him for a second. Then I told him the whole story. How my husband cut his thumb, how the knife went deep into his hand, how blood poured all over the brownies, how we dumped them in the sink and ran to the emergency room without cleaning anything up. His face went from normal to pale to straight up green. He looked like he was going to pass out. Then he goes, can you get AIDS from eating blood? Now my husband is a really skinny guy, always has been, that's just how he's built. But Kevin apparently saw a skinny guy and jumped straight to assuming he had AIDS. This made me even more mad. So instead of reassuring him, I put on my most concerned face and went, I don't know, Kevin. I mean, I guess it's possible if there was enough blood. You should probably get tested. He completely panicked, pushed right past me and ran to the bathroom. I could hear him throwing up in there for like 20 minutes, just absolutely losing it. When he finally came out, he looked awful, pale and sweaty and terrified. He didn't say a word to me, just went to his room and stayed there the rest of the night. After that day, Kevin basically stopped talking to us completely. He'd come home from work and go straight to his room. If we were in the kitchen, he'd wait until we left to get food. He never once touched anything we cooked ever again. And I never mentioned the pan. Figured he'd suffered enough.